Hey guys, and welcome back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Dancer. Today we're going to be opening the Lair of Darkness structure deck. Now, I know I said that I was going to do a video for this earlier on in the week, but time got away from me and my camera started being a little weird, so I thought I'd do a bit more of an in-depth opening today. So, come on, let's go! Okay guys, so we're set up at my trusty table here, and here we've got our Lair of Darkness structure deck. So, let's give it an open and see what's inside. So I'm just going to rip that off. Yes, I know, I'm a savage. So, we're going to rip it open, and we've got a couple things in the case. We've got this over here, structure deck sort of rulebook thing. We have our playmat, a rulebook and playmat, and then we also have, sorry about that, we have our deck. Look, there's our deck. Nice and sexy. It's interesting to see Lilith on the front there. But she is the first card we're going to talk about. So, let's crack her open. Let's first just quickly have a quick peek at what this paper play mat looks like. And that looks a little like that, which, yeah, I guess that's alright. If we move it down so the camera can see a little better, that's not too bad for a structure deck mat. So anyway, here is our deck, and let's give it an open. So here we have it. Here's the deck, and as you can see, Lilith, Lady of Lament, looking real nice right at the start here. Now, Lilith is super awesome. She's got this nifty effect where she's a 2k body, but when she's normal summoned, she becomes 1,000. And she is, by the way, so you can look at those 3 stars, she's also a tour guide target, which is pretty nice. But she's got this really nifty effect, which is when she's normal summoned, her attack becomes 1,000, but during either player's turn, as a quick effect, you contribute a dark monster to reveal 3 normal traps in your deck, and your opponent chooses one of them for you, and you set it to your field and shuffle the rest back into the deck. Now, this doesn't disclude you from tributing Lilith herself, which is pretty cool. The other cool thing is, you can just give your opponent 3 of the same trap, and Bob's your uncle, you've searched a trap and set it to your field pretty easily. Now, it has to be a normal trap, which is kind of a little bit lame, but guess what? She can search evenly matched, and evenly matched is insane. So that's really, really cool. And she kind of sets up the rest of the sort of interesting combos that the deck has with a lot of things, which is really interesting. And she's just the start of a really strong strategy we got going on here. Yeah, it doesn't hurt that she can be tour guided either. Next up, we've got Darkest Diablos, Lord of the Lair. Nice, man. Now, unlike what the promotional material says, Darkest Diablos is indeed a dragon. He is sort of the boss monster of the deck, and that's really cool. And it's a really cool boss monster. First off, he can't be tributed. You cannot tribute this face-up card in the field, and your opponent can't target it with card effects. So your opponent can't tribute or target with card effects. And you can use the following effects of Darkest Diablos once per turn. But let's just talk for a second about the fact that he cannot be tributed by your opponent. So that's right, suck it, Gameciel. You're not getting rid of Darkest Diablos. Now, Darkest Diablos has probably one of the easiest summoning conditions for a big boss monster. If a dark monster you control is tributed, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from basically your hand or graveyard, regardless of where it was when you summon him. And he's got a pretty nifty effect to boot, where you contribute a dark monster to have your opponent place a card from their hand on the top and bottom of their deck. So it kind of acts like a Phoenix Wing Windblast, or just like a generic -1 to the hand. If you tribute a dark monster, again, you can tribute himself, but why would you tribute himself? Whereas you can be tributing tokens and a bunch of other monsters, which is what makes this card so good. It's just a giant 3k body that just does so much other stuff that it's ridiculously insane. He's probably one of the best boss monsters we've seen out of a structure deck in a long time. That includes you, Dragon Buster. So I'd definitely be looking out for him if I could. And then moving on, we've got Arma, the Wicked Warden over here. And Arma is pretty cool. You can discard a card to add 1 Lair of Darkness from your deck to your hand. Wait a minute. So I can discard Arma to add a structure deck from my deck to my hand? No, not quite. There is a card called Lair of Darkness, which we'll get into in a second. Anyway, Arma's effect reads that you can tribute a dark monster to draw a card, and if you tribute a card that isn't himself, he can search out a Dark Monster with 2000 or more defense from your deck instead. Now, I looked this up, and Arma has a grand total of about 230 different targets for his 2000 attack searching mechanic. So that's really cool. He kind of acts like a Gravekeeper's Commandant to get the field spell, as well as the fact that he has this nifty effect of just being able to search out a whole ton of dark monsters, Dark Armed Dragon, Diablos. It's just crazy how much stuff he can enable. So he's really cool, being this sort of 3 copies of Terraforming for the deck in the case where this deck doesn't have Terraforming. But potentially with 3 of him, 3 Terraforming, and 3 Lair of Darkness, you've got 9 copies of the field spell, which is absolutely insane. And the field spell, which we'll get into right now, is just nuts. So here we have our field spell, Lair of Darkness. Now, Lair of Darkness says that all monsters on the field become dark, and once per turn, if you attribute a dark monster, if you attribute a monster, you contribute a dark monster your opponent controls as if you control it instead. So that's right, all your opponent's monsters become dark, and if you need to tribute something by card effect, you can just tribute one of their monsters. So that's right, it's non-targeting removal that just gets rid of monsters without destroying them, which is insane. Now, there is a little bit of balance to this card in that if once you've used the effect, it special summons as many torment tokens as possible to the field up to the number of monsters tributed this turn, but it summons it to the turn player's field, which is insane. So you can tribute off one of your opponent's monsters and get a token in the end phase just for shits and giggles. It's insane. This card is ridiculous. This card, along with Diablos and Lilith, is pretty much what makes this deck amazing. So it's really good. You'll definitely be running 3 along with a couple Terraformings if you can, or maybe some Armas. And it's just nuts what this card can do. Then, lastly, our last sort of exclusive for this deck is Grinning Grave Virus. Now, Grinning Grave Virus is a new virus card, and I love virus cards. I went to Nat in 2013, I want to say, with Evil Swarm, funnily enough. And I just destroyed everyone because I was using viruses in my side deck, which weren't really a big thing at the time, but man, oh man, did they work out really, really well. Now, this virus is interesting. This virus has you tribute pretty much any dark monster because it has to have 3,000 or less attack. And your opponent destroys 1 card of their choice in their hand or deck for every 500 attack that monster had. And here's the kicker, because this is what you're going to be wanting to do with Grinning Grave Virus. If you tribute a monster with 2,000 or more attack to activate this card, look at all cards your opponent draws until the end of their 3rd turn, and you destroy all monsters among them as well, which is just crazy, because it can basically just destroy all monsters in your opponent's hand and what they draw. Now, of course, they can still search, but it's just insane how good this is. But I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but there are things like Cosmos and other garbage that just floats when it gets destroyed. So why would you allow your opponent to destroy monsters? Well, look at that last line over there. Cards destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this card's effect cannot activate their own effects in that same turn. So what that means is that this card basically destroys all your opponent's monsters, and it stops them from floating, which is just crazy. And it's just nuts. Now we have one other unique card to this structure deck, and that's Dukeshade, the Sinister Shadow Lord. He's not that great, but I'll go through it anyway. He's a level 4 that allows you to special summon himself if you tribute any number of dark monsters. This means, of course, minimum 1. But if you do, it gains 500 attack for every monster you tributed, which again, if you have Lair of Darkness up, you're tributing a bunch of monsters, getting a bunch of tokens back as well, and you get a giant beater. And when he's normal special summoned, you get to target 1 level 5 or higher dark monster in your graveyard and add it to your hand, and you can only use that effect once per turn. And there's a little bit of a restriction where you can only special summon dark monsters the turn you activate either of those cards' effects. So Dukeshade's not that amazing. He's pretty good in sort of pure core builds, but he's not quite as good as the foils that we just had to look at there. So that's it for the unique new cards, and we've got a bunch of reprints to go through. So I'm just going to go through them with you. and sort of show you what good stuff is here, what stuff you should be keeping aside, what stuff you might want to trade, and just the general value that this structure deck has on the whole. So let's get into that. So looking at the rest of the reprints here, we have original Diablo's King of the Abyss. Now he's not that great. Lich Lord King of the Underworld, also not that amazing. Prometheus King of Shadows, also not too great. Archfiend Emperor vs Lord of Horror, not that great. And then we get our first really important, interesting reprint. We got Chaos the Mega Monarch here. Now, this card was about $10 to $12 last I checked. And also, he's just a really good general Dark Monarch to have in your arsenal, like a general good Mega Monarch to have. So I'd definitely be keeping out one of him. He's just really interesting and he can do a lot of cool stuff. So I'm putting him over there. Next up, we got Legendary Maju Garzet, which is really interesting. Very cool sort of casual card. I did actually keep 3 of these a while back before letting them go because I figured not many decks were going to use them. But it's a cool card to just have in your arsenal if you need it. So maybe consider keeping it, but I'm going to put him in this pile for now. And then we have another amazing reprint, boys. Vanity's Fiend. Now this card, the last time it was reprinted in a common, I think, was in a tournament pack or an astral pack. So it's really good to have a common copy of this card again. And this structure deck only costs what, 200 Rand? Like, it's such good value for money. You're basically getting your money back just off the common reprints anyway. So definitely keep 1 or 2 of these out if I were you. Vanity's Fiend is amazing as a side deck card for this deck. Then we have Mist Archfiend, which not that great. Infernal Dragon, again, not that great. Archfiend Cavalry, not that great. Stygian Street Patrol is an interesting reprint. It's got a couple of common reprints before, but before that it was actually a World Championship video game promo. So it's really cool to have a copy of Stygian Street Patrol because it wasn't really that easy to find always. So it's cool to have a copy of that. Phantom of Chaos, a really other interesting sort of techie card that you definitely want to keep 1 of 2 of, even in this common rarity, because there are just formats and sort of decks where Phantom of Chaos works really, really well. So I definitely keep 1 of these if I were you. Let's go in at the keep pile, boys. Then we have Plague Wolf, which is a cool reprint. I still remember when it came in secret. I think it Force of the Breaker, which is pretty cool. Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Who even plays Fiendish Rhino Warrior anymore? Well, I guess BAs do, and it's got quite a bit of synergy. So if you don't have a copy of Fiendish Rhino Warrior, I suggest keeping it. But it is only a rare from Breakers of Shadow, so you might already have a copy, but I definitely put that in the good sort of keep pile. It's a pretty good card for value. Then we have Curry Bandit going on here. Curry Bandit is a crazy, crazy good reprint. I think we've only seen it in Secret and Ultra before. So it's cool to have a common version of this reprint. And then, boy oh boy, we got that special little tour guide girl over there, which is super cool. Tour Guide's been getting a couple reprints lately. So it's really nice to see her have a common printing. Just sort of an easy to get printing. I'd definitely be keeping 1 of these. Is it 1? But you never know when it might come back to 2 or 3. So definitely keep your Tour Guides. It's a really, really good sort of investment type card. Then we have Absolute King Backjack. Again, a nice sort of reprint because the original was only in Premium Gold 2, which is pretty cool. So he's definitely a keeper reprint. Relin Karibo, I don't even know what this card does. If this card's distributed, draw a card. Oh wow, that's pretty cool. He's dark too, so he works pretty nicely with sort of the structure deck, the ability to tribute him, get an effect, and draw a card for a +1. But he's a bit of a weenie otherwise, so I don't know. He's not that great. I'm going to put him in this pile. And then we get on to our spells. We got Recurring Nightmare. This just came as a reprint in the last tournament pack, but it's definitely a great card to have 3 of just in your arsenal somewhere in your sort of pile of commons that you keep because they're going to be good one day. So definitely keep that. And then, boy, Allure of Darkness common. Now this common has been floating her from $4 to $6 forever. Supers have as well. So definitely, you definitely want to get 3 of these structure decks and keep 3 of these Allure of Darknesses, because Allure of Darkness is just one of those cards that keeps a hell of a lot of value over time. It's really good and you should definitely keep it. Then here we got Hand Destruction, which is okay. Foolish Burial Goods, another really, really solid reprint from the structure deck, boys. This isn't even that old. This card only came out last year with Zodiacs, and it's been pretty sought after even in Spiral format a couple months ago. So you definitely want to crack this deck open and keep 3 of these bad boys. It's pretty good stuff. Then we got Boogie Trap, Fires of Doomsday, which is an interesting token generating dark thing. It's kind of like Photon Sanctuary. Remember when Photon Sanctuary went super up in price because of the light generic Link Monster hype? Fire of Doomsday is kind of similar, except it activates sort of like Scapegoat in the fact that you can't summon cards otherwise when you use this card. So it's kind of like Scapegoat in that way, but it's pretty cool, it's useful. And then we've got a couple fillers. We've got Veil of Darkness here. And then we have virus cards. Now virus cards are always good to keep. They have had very recently a pretty cheap, like less than $1, so around 20 Rand if you want to buy it from me, ultra printings in the Legendary Collection Kaiba. So you definitely want to pick these up if you haven't already. So either keep the commons or pick up a bunch of ultras because they're pretty new. A lot of people still have them in their trade binders and stuff, but they're good. So I'm going to put them there. We got Deck Devastation Virus 2, Eradicator Epidemic Virus, the most crazy virus, but this bad boy is still at 1, which is kind of lame. Full Force Virus, a common reprint, even though the secret didn't come out all too long ago. But it's cool. We also just had an ultra reprint of this as well, so that's interesting. So again, viruses are just good to keep in general because of sort of what they do. They're one of those good sort of generic trap cards you just keep just in case one day you ever play a deck that needs them instead of having to pick them up. And then we've got a couple other fillers. We've got Dark Light, Trap of Darkness, and now another good one, baby, Mind Crush. Definitely, without a doubt, keep 3 of these. There will be times when you need to side 3 of these. There'll be formats you need to side 3 of these. So as a new player, you definitely want to be keeping 3 of these just right out because they do so much cool stuff and it's just so good against most things. Rise to Full Height is also pretty cool. It's got this cool lock with Omega, but I wouldn't suggest keeping it for now because it came in a common anyway, so that's not too crazy. Curse of Darkness, another really, really cool reprint. Came in, I think, a rare back in like IOC days or something. And you definitely want to be keeping 3 of this boy. It's just like the strangest kind of trap. It's almost like anti-spell fragrance, but not really because it doesn't stop them from activating spells. But every time a player activates a spell, they take 1,000 damage, the player who activated them. So this is going to be really, really good in about a month's time when Brandish comes out if you don't have those anti-spell fragrances. So definitely, definitely keep those in the keep pile. Then we have Sinister Yorishiro as well as our Torment token. So overall, it's a pretty good pull. Bonus, Duel Links. Yes, boy. That hot Duel Links content's pretty nice. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this Lair Dark Constructor deck opening as well as sort of all the discussion we had around it. If you like this kind of content, maybe give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And please leave a comment down below with regards to what I should do in the future. Do you like these kind of deck and pack openings as well as the discussion we have around it? What else would you like me to do? Leave a comment below and I'll see you guys next time.